This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
But really, what makes a trilogy a trilogy? Is it realizing that your first movie was successful and you need to make money off of it? Is it having a half-baked plan to end the second one on a cliffhanger? What about continuity and recasting? Can a trilogy keep momentum until the last one comes out? These are just a few questions we still completely gloss over on this episode of Baconsale.
You realize you're setting up the next person who does the third part of
Absolutely,
this.
that was the plan for
They have to continue it. See who that lands on.
Indeed.
Welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Zack.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our last show, our X-Men villain tiering episode.
Gel.
I honestly can't. I listened to that intro so many times.
Yeah,
highly entertaining.
Why?
Joel was digging
You were there
this
in
episode.
person.
I know. It was awesome.
At this point, I think Joel liked this episode more than anybody who actually listened to it. More than any listener.
Yeah, because there are no comments.
That's fine. KP
Yeah.
Brown says, Joel with the Mistborn reference. Good job. Someone caught it.
Yeah.
That's
I
okay.
didn't.
I was very proud of that. Yes, I have started reading a Brandon Sanderson book.
And Crew Dutler. He was pointing out that there was some liberties taken with the vowel sound enunciating of Baconsale.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Baconsale or Baconsale.
Whatever works for the song, man.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
Don't worry about it.
Puns don't always make sense, but they're fun.
I like that. Put that on a shirt.
That's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
We're talking about trilogies again.
Again?
This is the most popular one, but the one that relies on the first and third episode.
Yeah, usually I like number 2 better. Anyways, I think there's more
in the
depth,
series?
right? You know, we got past the origin story, right?
Kent Dunn, big Matrix Reloaded guy.
Honestly, kind of though.
Oh, the freeway
we
scene
saw
and
each
what?
other.
kind of.
The twins?
Because
yes,
they're pretty cool.
The ghosts, they're pretty cool.
Because previously on Baconsale, we had
Just play the whole first episode.
Yeah,
we had Baconsale episode 451, Time to Tier Trilogies Part 1.
Yeah.
We said we were going to do a Part 2. And so here we are in mid-season doing our Part 2.
Yeah, that's all we're gonna say. We're not gonna do part 3.
Well, maybe. We'll see what happens in the end.
It's one of those
That's the
situations
plan.
where it's like Back to the Future where 2 and 3 are filmed at the same time.
We're recording
It's like
both
2
these
didn't
tonight.
do so well, but we're still releasing 3 because we
already
made it.
made it.
No, we do have a spreadsheet we're working through. We are going to be probably doing a 3 at the end of this season.
Yeah.
So if we have some already. We have an idea of what we're going to do.
And we did get good suggestions last time.
We did. And so if you have more suggestions of trilogies we don't cover on this episode, let us know. Because we have 25 movies. We are going to be tiering, or not movies, trilogies.
Yeah.
We're going to be tiering today. And we're going to have
That's not even 25.
Again?
8 tier 1s, 9 tier 2s,
good.
and 8 tier 3s.
Everything's a tier 2. Just make it 25 tier 2s. Let's be honest.
It would be. Tier 1s are the highest, tier 3s are the lowest, and we're going to be going around and see if we agree as much as we did last time. Last time we agreed a lot.
A lot.
We're going to disagree a lot this time.
Oh, I can already tell.
And we did intentionally reserve some from last time to this time,
Yeah.
and we are holding back on some trilogies, popular trilogies that we're not going to be talking about till number 3, because we have to save some heavy hitters for then.
Last time, of the 25 trilogies we talked about, we only disagreed 8 times.
That's it?
It was really bad.
It's a whole tier.
Wow.
Oh, no, agreement is fine. We could be happy, right? We could be in
It's
agreement.
not how Baconsale started. I don't like
We
it.
don't have to have dissonance. We can have harmony.
Hey, Cool Boy Podcast, Alpha Geek. No, let's fight.
That's my name to wear it out. But shall we, gentlemen?
Yeah, let's
go
do it.
through
Jump right
all
into it.
25 of these and play along at home and see if you agree with our opinions on this sequel to trilogy tiering.
Even though half of these aren't trilogies, it's fine.
Oh, yes, we do. We have some
We'll
asterisks
explain
on some
as
of
we
these.
go.
Yeah, but there
yeah.
are trilogies within the whole greater. It's fine. First up, we have the Austin Powers trilogy.
What a great place to start.
Wow.
Don't do that. Oh, behave.
Ken, did you just do an Austin Powers impersonation?
Yeah.
You hate those.
No, I do not. Take it back.
No, you hate when people do impersonations.
Okay, yes, I actually hate movie quotes totally, but I love Austin Powers.
Do you know what state we live in? The OB Hive.
Oh.
Oh, what?
No.
Wow.
I like it, actually.
Oh.
Okay. So we have the Austin Powers trilogy, and this one is a legitimate trilogy starting with The International Man of Mystery in 1997, The Spy Who Shagged Me in 1999, and Goldmember in 2002.
And the overall synopsis of this is it's a British spy's quest to bring his nemesis down.
Yeah.
And that would be Austin Powers, played by Mike Myers.
It is an In Like Flint parody, which is already in it of itself a James Bond parody.
Yeah, it's a parody of a bunch of different
Have I not seen it like Flint?
It's with
Isn't that a horse
James-
movie?
James Gar. No,
No,
Or
James
is that my
Coburn.
friend Flicka?
Yeah. Flicka.
No. But in this movie,
James Coburn.
you can get Mike Myers, Elizabeth Hurley, Mike Myers, Michael York, Mike Myers, Seth Green, Mike Myers, Heather Graham, Mike Myers. Like, he just kind of...
Yeah, it's what he does.
Yeah.
If you don't like Mike Myers, you're
gonna hate these.
you hate these.
You got to like
Now,
his shtick.
These movies were pretty good box office earners, but the second movie in this one, The Spy Who Shagged Me, is the biggest earner here with $312 million.
It was such a big deal.
Yeah, but
It
the
was.
ratings, IMDb ratings do go down. They started at 7, they go down to a 6.2. So generally still liked, but drop in quality in the sequels.
How many times have you guys seen Goldmember?
Oh.
I think I've told you my Goldmember story, haven't I?
Go on again.
Yeah.
I was on the streets of New York on a family
Yes, I remember.
family vacation, walking around the streets of New York, and I see this guy putting out DVDs and on a table there in the streets, and Goldmember was there, which was in theaters at the time, and I was like, Dad, I'm going to buy that. And he's like, you want to buy that movie? I'm like, yeah, it's only $10. I can do that. And
It's early days of the internet,
yeah.
everybody.
And I could say, oh man, I could totally see it. And
I'll
I don't
show
go
off
theaters.
to my friends.
It's like the price of a movie ticket.
Yeah.
Worst quality movie I've ever seen in my life.
You're getting some ladies,
It was
beehive.
obviously filmed by someone.
Your fault, Zach.
It was obviously filmed in a theater. It cut out at times. You couldn't hear anything. It was terrible. And that affected my liking of the movie as well. That being said, great opening for Goldmember.
Oh, yeah.
Cameo
Stellar
filled.
opening.
Totally like just pandering, but man, it was
Well,
entertaining.
let's work it back because this is a comedy series.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think one of the hallmarks of all three of these movies is fantastical opening sequences. You've got your kind of cold open and then a full-blown musical number.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so well done, but also it's one of those where one of the gags is it's carefully censored.
Yes,
sure.
And
Yes.
it adds to the hilarity. I think these movies, up for their time, outstanding. I had so much fun with this.
More than that, when I first saw Austin Powers, I thought it was disgusting. But the second time I saw it, it became my favorite movie ever made for about 5 years.
Until Fight Club came along?
Yeah.
You're telling me Fight Club and Austin Powers are...
Seriously, up until I actually saw films and like became like this college nerd who liked film all of a sudden, I unabashedly love this movie. I went down to Video Express, never bought this movie, and rented it every time I went.
Now you say gross, Kent.
Yeah.
This movie, these are all PG-13 movies, but they are pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, which I loved at the time.
And I found out that in Malaysia, which has pretty strict censorship laws.
I actually didn't know.
These were it's very, very strict in censorship laws there. These were considered like triple X
NC-17
movies.
or whatever.
It's like they were like, no, don't.
Wow.
Kids will not see these.
This is famously from the era where you didn't have as much access to media as you do now. And so the jokes that you would tell, there's trends that go around on TikTok and Instagram. And you're like, oh, we're all joking. We have this one song in our head for a week and then it goes away. We didn't have that. And so for me, I lived in Goldmember summer. That summer, all my friends,
Pretty Girl Summer,
all we just
Goldmember
did
Summer.
was quote Goldmember all summer, and that's what we had to go.
Gold.
It was, and so because of that, I know so much of this movie. I referenced one of my favorite jokes from the Austin Powers franchise 2 days ago while watching the Olympics.
What'd you
One
say?
of my very favorite jokes of all time. Michael Caine's character in Goldmember says, "There are two things in this world that I hate: one, people who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch."
Yeah.
And that is so stupid.
Yes.
And it's so funny. This whole franchise to me, it's clever because I'm a James Bond fan. Specifically, Dr. Evil is based off of You Only Live Twice, which chicken and egg, I don't know what, like if I like Austin Powers because I love You Only Live Twice, or You Only Live Twice is my favorite ridiculous Bond because of Austin Powers.
Yeah.
But it's actually clever, and weirdly enough, in being a parody, is also a good homage to Bond.
So what are you giving it?
Oh, this is a tier 1 all the way.
Really?
Absolutely. Not even a hesitation. There are moments, like specific moments in each film that I cried. I mean, you've seen it on Baconsale. I cried laughing. Specifically, there is a scene in the third one, which I've probably seen the most.
Really?
Wow. A large character. He is
Fat
giving
illegitimate child.
he is
obese
giving
illegitimate
a
child,
very sincere moment, and then has a human wind passing moment.
Flatulence.
I died the first time I saw it, laughing. Died. And I was watching it at the same time as my dad on a different TV. And I hear from the other room, he's laughing at this. We are both beside ourselves laughing in this movie. I think all three of these are gold.
This is a shocker.
And I don't want to go back and watch them.
I expected that from Kent. I did not expect that from you.
No,
Yeah.
I am actually genuinely a huge Austin
I'm
Powers
actually a little disappointed in myself because it's only getting a high tier 2
Doesn't
on this
exist.
one, because this is almost tier 1. I just had to barely cut it out because I don't really care for Goldmember all that much, but I love the first 2 movies. They are products of their time, and the time was great for me, but still a tier 2.
There are 3 reasons why you're wrong. Elizabeth Hurley, Heather Graham, and Beyonce. She's good looking, but not my favorite.
Mimi Rogers, I'll give it to her.
Oh, sure. There we go.
Yeah. All right, Joel, tell us why it's a tier 3.
Tier 3.
Yeah.
I recently watched these, and I
Yeah, see, that's why I won't.
see. I never really got Austin Powers.
Sure.
The later ones. Like the whole mini me and the rap and everything, I was not a huge
Not a Seth Green guy?
Get this.
Come
Seth
on.
Green's fine.
Oh, he's great.
But everyone is doing the shush and everyone quoting
Zip
it.
it and-
All the time this movie got quoted and get in my belly.
Laser. That one was not my
Yeah.
favorite that hit the...
Sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their
Yeah.
heads. But watching these recently,
Second is the most quotable.
the first one, I used to say like, oh yeah, the first one, it's like a clever James Bond parody, and the rest of them kind of peter out after that. The first one's barely likable.
Oh, stop it.
It's likable. And then the second one is awful. And
No,
the third one is not good.
Second one is pretty high quality,
I
honestly.
am giving these a tier 3 because
Joe lost his mojo.
Yeah.
I did. But I watching them again, I'm like, man, the humor has not aged very well. And I didn't like it back much then. I'm not saying I hate these movies.
Sure.
They're not my style, not my cup of tea, to put it Britishly.
I was stuck in a very small parking lot when I was looking at a very large train recently. And of course, the first thing that came to my mind when I was doing a 75-point turn in my vehicle was Austin Powers.
I just showed that to my kid
so
today.
funny.
And that's the thing. They have moments. It's like an SNL, a night of SNL. There's sketches you like and there's sketches you don't like. There are some legitimately funny moments in
Yeah.
Austin Powers. In every single movie, I think there's a legitimately funny moment, but it's surrounded by a bunch of just pandering filth, honestly.
My son, my young son, I'm laughing. I'm going to relive these movies
Okay,
the
go
rest
on.
of the show. My young son will do this thing where he will like inevitably be hurt, and it's extremely avoidable. And I think about the time with the steamroller.
Yeah.
With the guy from Mad TV.
See? Yeah.
It's like
It's great.
move.
Fun moments.
Just move. This movie's so great.
Okay. Tier 1, 2, 3. What's next?
I don't know. I'm laughing. Our next one is the Bourne trilogy.
Featuring The Bourne Identity, which came out in 2002, and The Bourne Supremacy, which came out in 2004, and The Bourne Ultimatum, which came out in 2007, and then The Bourne Legacy in 2012 and Jason Bourne 2016.
Putting one single finger up to your mouth. Please don't mention those.
Hey, I've got Jason Bourne on Blu-ray, and I have no idea why. I've never even
All three, the
You haven't seen
No,
it?
I've seen the movie
2016 Jason
Bourne. I have it on Blu-ray at my house.
It's Jason Bourne.
I
Was
have
it a
no
gift?
clue why.
So this one stars Matt Damon and Franco Potente and Julia Stiles and Brian Cox and Chris Cooper and Joan Allen. It's
If this was a video podcast, the camera would be shaking right now.
shaking and like quick edits. Like this kind of
Put the magazine down.
This defined kind of the shaky cam, quick cut style of this like
Yeah.
gritty reality ish.
It borrows the Matrix's green filter.
A little bit.
Yes, a little bit. Yeah.
And a blue filter as well. So Doug Liman did the first movie, and then Paul Greengrass did the second 2, and that's all we're going to talk about. I'm wondering, is this peak Matt Damon?
Matt Damon.
Did
I'm not necessarily his peak movie, but peak Matt Damon is The Martian.
Wow. Interesting.
disagree.
Save for our Matt Damon show.
That's
Matt
actually
Damon.
that wouldn't be bad.
Oh, Matt Damon versus Ben Affleck episode.
I love it.
done? I love that.
And we'll get Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, this is gonna be so good.
Oh, this is so good.
And apples.
I don't like them.
How do you like him? No, so the third movie here, Born on Tomato, is the highest earner here with $442 million, but all of them in the hundreds of millions.
Yeah,
I think
it
I-
gained momentum.
I think I took these kind of secret agent blockbusters for granted at the time. I was like, they all feel like the same movie, because they do, right? They all look and they all feel the same. But I think in a time previous to superhero movies all over the place, and having a movie, like buying a ticket to, can I see the Bourne Ultimatum? Who's buying a movie ticket to that movie?
Wait. So let's talk about the James Bond series real quick. So the last James Bond with
Is that
Pierce
not on
Brosnan.
this list?
Well, no. Came out when? The last James Bond with Pierce Brosnan.
2002.
2002. That was Die Another Day.
The same year as Jason Bourne.
Which is why Casino Royale exists.
Yes, because-
so I'm very thankful for the Bourne franchise.
Yeah.
Because Die Another Day tanked the James Bond franchise, and then Bourne comes along, and it's like this gritty,
still-
realistic spy movie.
I still love you.
And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we need to do that because that made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And these are also critically acclaimed. Like IMDb, they're at like 7s and 8s, all of them. In fact, this is one of the few where they go up at the end with an 8.0.
That first one score is totally deserving. Strictly. What is it? Is it like an embassy
Extreme
escape
ways.
scene?
Yeah.
Whenever,
Yeah.
That scene alone, so good.
That being said, they do blend together. Like, these are
Totally.
3 movies, but they're all it's one story, which, Zach, you say is a true
I was
trilogy.
going to say, so you're telling me it's a good trilogy?
Yes. But it is funny how, like, I
It's
watched
like
it-
rhyming. I don't care for it.
I watched all 3 of these fairly recently as well.
And?
With my boys. We watched
Okay,
it together.
sure.
And it was funny to be like, oh, that's in this movie? I thought that was in this other movie. Or no, that didn't happen.
But
oh,
were
it's
you
gonna
kind of
happen
tired
later.
of Treadstone? The Treadstone Project.
Bourne, Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
Get Bourne.
Jason
I
Bourne.
watched them for the first time like 2 years ago.
And?
And I loved them.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. I liked where they were headed.
Yeah.
I complained a lot. And then after it was done, like I saw the first one and complained, going, I don't like that this is just set up. And then by the end of the third one, I went, yep, this is fantastic. I love these.
Can I make a confession?
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know what's going on some of the time in this movie.
That's okay.
Oh,
There-
most of the time.
I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, okay, yeah, but good guy, bad guy. That's how I have to break it down at some point, being like, okay, it's good guys fighting against bad guys, because I don't understand all the ins and outs and all the intricacies.
Honestly, the
of
politics
political.
is kind of boring.
a little bit.
It's like, oh, he's going to assassinate this guy and it didn't work out. I'm like, I guess I don't care.
I feel that way about every James Bond. I don't get the plot the first time, and I'm a big fan.
You know?
Happens. Also, I get a lot of flack from my brothers because they love this series, and I don't love it as much as them. So, like, you hate it, and I'm like, that's not how this works.
This is the dad movie $5 bargain bin collection right here, right? But it's not a bad bargain for $5.
Sure.
I think this is tier 2. I think these are solid movies worth revisiting. It's just at the time I felt they were wildly overrated.
Having watched it again, tier 1.
Okay.
These, I like I said, my brothers get after me, and I was like, yeah, Bourne, whatever, and they all blend together, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But watching them again with my boys, I was just like, these are fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fun movie to watch together. It's
you've
enjoyable.
leveled up to that level of dad.
Well, and they're all, yeah, I have.
Sure.
I'm wearing the white balance. Yeah. I need to get a smoker suddenly.
Yeah, you do.
But, like, they're all consistent too. Like, these-
Blackstone.
honestly, these all got 4 stars from me.
Okay.
All 3.
Wow.
Because they're all just like, these are fun, but none of them got like 5 stars.
So are we rating it as a trilogy or
Yes.
just as movies? Because I think you hit on
You
my
decide.
point, which is I think this is a really strong trilogy, right? Where they go well together. I don't
Yes.
think there's an obvious low point. I think they're consistent with their story. So for that alone, I'm going to give it a lot of credit. But I like these movies a lot, and I saw them after the influence was already felt on my favorite spy franchise.
Right.
So going back, I was worried that I was going to be like, okay, it's a little cheesy now. But no, these are fantastic. Tier 1.
Nice.
Oh, sorry, guys.
It's also kind of, you tanked it. Why did you tank Bourne?
I gave it a tier 2. It's fine.
Dare you? No, it's also funny to me because watching it again, I didn't notice how many product placement there was in it.
They had to pay for it somehow.
There's a lot.
Also, cool cast. Like the Clive Owen.
Yeah.
Carl Urban.
Yeah.
Brian Cox?
I kept doing
Yeah.
that. I'm like, oh, he's in this.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you get the soundtrack.
Yeah. Iconic.
Good stuff.
Next up is a very similar trilogy. It's Bridget Jones.
Bridget Jones, which came out.
Oh, Bridget Jones Supremacy. Bridget Jones Ultimatum.
Jones Ultimatum.
Actually, Ultimatum probably is the title of the next movie.
Probably. Bridget Jones' Diary in 2001. Bridget Jones' The Edge of Reason in 2004. Bridget Jones's Baby in 2016.
And an upcoming movie pretty soon.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
But the movies follow the life events of primary characters Bridget Jones, Mark Darcy, and Daniel Cleaver and explores their respective relationships.
They're really making another one?
Yeah.
What is it? Bridget Jones' Botox?
It's called Mad About the Boy.
Oh, geez.
These have Renee Zellweger, Colin Firth, Hugh Grant. Those are the big players there. We'll stop there.
I wasn't in the country when the first one was released, and so I kind of missed all the fun and the buzz of it, but apparently it was really well liked.
First one was, I think, a really big deal.
Yeah, and so I saw it much after, and I considered them just to be standard rom-com material. I do think it's like a step above standard rom-com material because of the performances.
It's British standard rom-com.
And because the references to Pride and Prejudice as well, having Mr. Darcy play Darcy. It's kind of fun.
Same director for the first and third and a different director for the second. The first movie is the biggest moneymaker here with $281 million, and the dip comes in the second movie.
I actually think Bridget Jones' Baby, other than like being like, is that Renee Zellweger? Please stop. Don't do anything else. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's an okay movie.
It's got Patrick Dempsey in it.
No, but yes.
Dr. Dreamy.
So I don't actually mind any of these movies. It's just they do not pass the Zack test.
What is the Zack test?
If there's any other movie and a Bridget Jones movie, any other movie is getting picked to watch.
If you have 2 movies on a shelf, which do you pick?
But are you the target audience, Kent?
No, definitely not. But I don't hate them as much as I should. Right?
Okay, so
I think they're fine, but it's a tier 3.
What's the target audience? In a relationship?
Ladies.
Okay.
Honestly,
definitely geared towards a female audience.
and this is kind of like a repeated plot. There's a love triangle in every single one of these movies.
Yeah. But at the same time, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it.
Right.
And then I did.
Right.
But I'm not the target audience, and I realize that. I'm giving these a tier 2.
Okay.
Because they are enjoyable. They are passable. They probably need some clear play. But
Sure.
And watching it, I went, you know what? These are enjoyed by many. Mm-hmm. Maybe not me all the time, but enjoyed by many, and I enjoy them. Therefore, I'm giving it a tier 2.
Zach?
Just got bumped into tier 3, but I do like them.
They're fine, right?
Yeah. And next, and this certainly won't get obnoxious, it's Crocodile Dundee.
That's not a trilogy.
Oh, no.
Now, this is a trilogy.
Bloomin' knife.
The first one came out in 1986.
Yes.
Second one, 1988. And then the third one, which is called Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles, came out in 2001.
It centers around a crocodile hunter named Michael J. Crocodile Dundee.
Mick Dundee.
Mick Dundee, played by Paul Hogan, and then the rest of the cast.
So essentially...
Then it gets all meta.
No, the story is Mick Dundee is a fish out of water in the first movie, and then he takes on the criminal underworld of New York and Los Angeles. What?
Well, that's just it. So the first movie is a straight up fish out of water comedy.
Yeah.
The second movie, I was like, this is more like action than comedy, which was weird.
His girlfriend gets kidnapped.
Yeah,
and he
by
has to save her.
Colombian drug lords or something. And then he has to take some to Australia, which, by the way, the second half of that movie is still entertaining.
Sure. Did you, watching this as a kid, and I'm talking to Joel here, not you, Zach, because I'm assuming...
We had TBS. I've seen it.
Did you get these confused? The first two movies, did you always get the plots confused? Like, which one am I watching?
No, because the one she goes from Australia to New York, and the second one, they go from New York to Australia.
Okay.
And then the third
I guess that makes
was
sense.
just a third one. That wasn't out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
By the way, fun fact: the first movie, $328 million at the box office.
Wow.
The second movie, 230, and that's 1986 movie money, by the way.
That's Endgame money.
The second movie, 239 million. The third movie, 39 million.
Yeah.
Still 39 million for.
I mean, they'll
whatever.
take it, but wow.
And big dip in quality on the ratings here too as it goes to the third movie. Third movie's not liked by many, but Paul Hogan, to his credit, has refused several proposals for more Crocodile Dundee movies. Ken, I'd like to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
Did you watch these movies pre-living on Australia?
Absolutely.
And then after your mission, did you watch them again?
I watched the first one again.
And like having lived there, how authentic
Not
does
authentic
it feel?
whatsoever.
As authentic as Outback Steakhouse, which was
truly.
made because of Crocodile Dundee.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I was even out in the country of Australia, and by the country, I mean country areas of
They call it
Australia.
the Outback, Kent.
Right. And I was like, oh, I was lied to. But
It's not
listen,
like
maybe
that?
if I went on a walkabout and it was very, very dangerous and carried around a giant didgeridoo with me, maybe then. But no, I mean, obviously it's kitschy for kitschy's sake, but he is a national treasure there, which is cool.
And good for him. 'Cause
Yeah.
here's the thing. Despite your feelings on the movies,
Sure. Yeah.
Paul Hogan is charismatic.
Yeah.
He is the Glenn Powell of his time.
And really, for these movies to be so successful just in 80s movie history is kind of a breakthrough, I
It
think.
paved the way for Yahoo Serious as well.
Young Einstein.
Yep.
That's all I saw. I love that movie.
What?
Yeah, I loved it.
Say it for our Yahoo Serious episode.
You have no idea what we're talking about.
Oh, I've been lost for a while.
I did watch both 1 and 2 fairly recent.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get a feel for them again.
Sure.
There is a childhood association with those I cannot tear away from myself.
But
what?
what are you going to give it?
Tier 2.
Oh, wow.
Because these movies, they were a cultural phenomenon, Kent.
Yeah.
They basically introduced Australia to the world. And then everyone knows the certain lines like, that's not a knife, this is a knife. And,
Yeah.
and what else?
and what else?
Yeah, and name a second one that anybody knows.
Senor Meek.
Dingo ate my baby.
That's wrong movie. Oh, no.
Oh, that's a much better. Give me the trilogy of the Crocodile Dundee, Quigley Down Under, and Lyle Lyle Crocodile. And now we're in.
Man from Snowy River, don't forget that.
Oh, yeah. Jessica's theme.
Let's be there for Australia episode.
Yeah.
We already did that.
We did.
And notice we're not talking about
Listen,
Crocodile
this
Dundee
is
Los
tier
Angeles
3.
is terrible.
Tier 3? Listen, I loved it.
You
but-
hate Australia.
No, come on. Don't
Calm
put that poison
down,
on
Danny
me.
boy.
Listen, there's spiders there and the snakes there. That's a tier 3 place.
A kangaroo
Okay,
holds a machine
cursed.
gun in this movie, Kent.
Okay, you're right.
In one
Tier
of the
2.
movies.
No, it's a tier 3. It should stay in the 80s. It was fun at the time, but
How dare you?
stay back there.
You betrayed all of us. All of us
All of
80s
you?
baby. You betrayed every 80s baby right now.
Zach, what'd you give it?
a hardcore tier 3.
Yeah.
I would rather watch every episode of Bluey on repeat than watch Crocodile Dundee.
Watch it again.
No.
With your children. No, with your children.
No,
Quite enjoy.
I like my children too much.
This introduces them to Australia.
Bluey.
and eat a bloomin' onion at the same time.
Bloomin' onion.
If it weren't for Crocodile Dundee, there would be no Outback Steakhouse.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah,
just
you're
kidding. I
not-
love you,
you're
Alice
not
Springs
selling
Chicken.
it.
Alice
Not a
Springs
sponsor. Oh, I love you so much.
Me?
No, Alice Springs Chicken.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I like you as a friend,
Thank you.
as a co-host.
Now we have Divergent series.
Divergent was released in 2014. Insurgent, the sequel, came out a year after, and Allegiant came out the year after that. So 2014, 15, and 16.
Was that Allegiant Part 1 in 2016?
No, just Allegiant. There, don't worry about it.
This trilogy is set in the future. A dystopian society is divided into 5 factions, and you get Shailene Woodley and Ansel Elgort and Maggie Q and Miles Teller and Kate Winslet.
We've talked about this a lot recently.
Yeah, why have we?
Because we talked about young adult fiction.
Yeah, but there
Right.
seems like there was some other time I was reading this going, man, we did talk about this.
We don't really need to talk about it anymore. It's so marginal that the meant to be 4-part series just got stuck at 3, so never really got an ending. And listen, we've talked this to death, and that's where the franchise is.
And the highest earner is the second movie, Insurgent, with $297 million.
Tier 3.
Tier 3, I think you're right. I never was into it and don't really care for it.
Tier 1.
What?
Psych. Tier
Oh,
3.
oh
I don't
my
like
goodness.
these movies. Come on.
Zack attack.
Yeah, troll.
This is not my thing. Now we have the Dollars trilogy. Tell me more about this.
Starting with A Fistful of Dollars in 1964, For a Few Dollars More in 1965, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in 1966.
I mean, technically a trilogy, but even the director, Sergio Leone, said they kind of just pushed it together. And
Yeah.
honestly, they pushed it together to kind of market it as a set for people to
Yeah.
buy. The Man with No Name trilogy, which he does have a name in the movie.
Well, it's like Joe or Blondie.
Yeah.
But in every single one, by the way, if you want to watch this in sequence and they say you can logically tie this together, start with The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Then A Fistful of Dollars, which I thought was kind of interesting to release, whatever.
And this is Clint Eastwood in the main role here, and it's a spaghetti western. If you don't know what it is, essentially they kind of stopped making westerns here in the U.S. and then in
Isn't
Europe
that
they started
crazy?
making them.
Like the craze was dead.
Yeah,
But nobody liked westerns
But then
anymore.
Europeans started making them, and they made them a little bit differently, kind
Yeah.
of like undercutting the usual tropes.
And it became part of film history.
Yeah, and tons of people started doing it. It kind of revitalized the genre for a few years there.
I think For a Few Dollars More is very underrated. Sometimes it even ties my love for
Really?
The Good, Bad, and Ugly.
Yeah,
I really
there's a
enjoy
dip
it.
there for me.
Really?
honestly.
Okay.
The third movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, that's the highest earner here with only 38 million, but still, at the time that was good.
It's Endgame money.
Everything is endgame money to you.
I mean, I would like that. I think this is iconic. I think Clint Eastwood, it is the role for him. I think all 3 of these movies are wonderful. I like For Fistful of Dollars not as much as the other 2, but it's still pretty great.
They are, I mean, they're long movies.
Yeah.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is 161 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long movie. And this does require a level of patience and a liking towards Westerns if you're going to watch them.
Yeah.
That being said, my nephew, hey Josh, what's up? He texted me a while ago and he said, hey, how about this trilogy? And I was like, you know what? And I looked at my ratings for it. I'm like, yeah, this is a solid trilogy. This is a tier 1 for me.
Yeah, it's a tier 1.
And also it's weird because they're rated R, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But it's like pre-rated R, rated R. It's
Didn't
not rated
exist.
R. I looked at the parents' guide and I'm like, no.
Gunplay, essentially?
Yeah, Gunplay. It's pretty much PG-13. So all
Okay.
these are through.
Zach,
Look,
break our
Austin
hearts.
Powers knocked this down to a tier 2.
Good heaven.
I like these a lot, but especially shout out to the score.
Oh, yeah.
So iconic. But
Ennio Morricone and Moby did a collaboration.
do that. I wonder if there is a matchup with the Good and Bad, the Ugly.
Oh, I
and
hate
Extreme
it.
Ways by
Lots of
Moby.
I hate it so much.
I apologize, listener.
I do think that it's the pacing that I have to be really like vibing with the pacing of these movies because they can be.
It needs to
little
be
tedious.
You need to have mowed the lawn previous, and you want to relax. It's a Saturday afternoon. Start The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
I probably need to revisit these. It's been a long time, but they're just really good. So tier 2, but like tier 2, very good. Now we have the Evil Dead trilogy, and this is a complicated one.
Starting with The Evil Dead in 1981, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn in 1987, and The Army of Darkness in 1992.
And Evil Dead in 2003 and Evil Dead Rise in 2023 and Ash vs.
Yeah, but the story-wise, this
Yes.
fits together as a trilogy.
Yes. And a weird trilogy because Evil Dead 2 retreads on a lot of the ground of Evil Dead
A
1.
lot. Do you know why?
Because they basically said we got a budget, we're going to do it better.
Well, they lost the rights. They didn't have
that's right,
rights for
that's right.
distribution. They're like, well, we can't really go into what happened in the first movie, so we're going to stay in the cabin and just kind of reshoot the scenes that we made in the first one and make them a little more comical.
Yeah. By the way, the series originally revolves around the grimoire of the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, an ancient Sumerian text which wreaks havoc upon a group of cabin inhabitants in a wooded area in Tennessee. It's a very complicated way of saying there's
Book of the Dead.
Yeah, Book of the Dead in Cabin of
Curses.
the Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get Bruce Campbell is kind of the star of these.
Oh,
movies.
yeah.
There are other people as well.
Yeah.
Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. Girl, she's in the new runs.
Oh, the 2013 one.
Yeah, the one that we're not counting.
Yeah.
Actually, the first movie, Evil Dead, is the highest earner here with $29 million. But
what?
yeah.
It's a student film, essentially.
Well, they actually did make a student film originally called Within the Woods. And it was like a concept film. And then they were able to get a budget because of that.
How much did Army of Darkness make?
Army of Darkness made $21 million.
What?
I know, because it's a better movie.
Oh, obviously.
That's my favorite, personally, is Army of Darkness.
I feel like I ruined my childhood by watching Dead by Dawn way too much as a 9-year-old.
That's the second one.
The second one. I watched that movie all of the time.
Yeah.
And I should not have been watching that movie all the time.
Better than watching the first one over and over again.
Totally.
The first one is much more serious.
Yeah,
in tone.
and there's some dark moments. The grandma in the basement in the second movie just terrifies me. I can't go downstairs in cellars or basements.
Is she a grandma in the second one?
Yeah, you remember the grandma?
I thought she was the possessed girl.
No, it's the possessed, the wife of the guy who found the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
Listen, Bruce Campbell is a legend. Sam Raimi
Hail to
getting
the king,
his
baby.
start here, making a movie with his buddies, and they made what I think is, of the franchise, of horror franchises, maybe the most solid horror franchise to date. I think this is a tier 1, and I love it so much.
I knew you'd give it that.
Yeah, even the first movie, which I saw well after 2 and 3, I was like, you know what? I get what they're trying to do there. It's not my cup of tea, but I still really like it.
Yeah. Whereas for me, when I watched Evil Dead, I am not a fan of the first one.
Yeah.
I like the second one more. And I like Army of Darkness a lot.
Because it leads into the comedy all the way.
Yeah, it's much more hammy, much more funny, and still scary. There's parts in there that still give me the chills. As a trilogy, I am going to give, and I want to say this movie is like the American dream of student film.
Yeah.
Where you get your buddies, you get together, you make this movie, and everyone goes on to do something really fun and really good. However, I'm giving it a tier 2.
I get it.
It's not the demonic possession stuff isn't really my favorite genre.
Yeah.
There are some campy kind of over the top moments that don't, they're not as scary because it pulls you out of the movie. But that being said, it's a solid horror trilogy.
Yeah.
So tier 2.
It's not my thing, but I mean, it is iconic. Bruce Campbell's great. And Army of Darkness particularly is fun. So
That's in my horror movie training. That one made it to my kids' horror movie training.
tier 2.
Okay. That's acceptable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tier 2.
I accept your terms.
I bounce between tier 2 and 3, but tier 3 feels evil. Dead. Now we have Guardians of the Galaxy and volume 1, 2, 3. Volume.
Yeah, so they're just in volumes. They came out 2014, 2017, and 2023, all directed by James Gunn.
And then you have the entire MCU. Because they're in other movies as well.
But they are, I think they are the worst example of the MCU integration. They are vastly different characters in the Avengers movies. It's really dumb.
You think so?
I think so.
Because they tried the whole Thor thing along with them. It just didn't work.
Yeah, I hate the Guardians in the Avengers context, and I really like the Guardians movies.
Interesting. By the way, the synopsis: a band of outlaws are joined together to protect the galaxy from threats. And you get Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, and directed by James Gunn, all 3 movies. The biggest earner here is going to be the second one, actually, $869 million. Yeah.
It's the power of Kurt Russell.
Yeah, and his hair.
Oh, my goodness, his hair. But tier 1 on the hair alone.
Yeah.
All right, you're helping his ego.
And then critically, these all stayed about the same too on IMDb.
Really? Even 2?
8s and high 7s. This is, for me, a tier 1.
Oh, obviously.
I'll throw it out there. Because the first movie did annoy me because everyone got a fake death scene, and that bothered me. I was like, you're going to do it with every character in
That
the movie?
happened throughout the series.
Everyone almost dies and they come back?
Throughout the series.
The second movie, I enjoyed more than the first movie. And the third movie, while not my favorite, I still liked it. I still enjoyed it.
It was an emotional movie.
Yeah.
I didn't resonate with me very much. I was annoyed by the first movie. Maybe it's a sign of things to come that every movie tried to ape this movie. And I feel like,
movie?
copy it altogether as far as like...
Ape is a term?
Yes.
Like for Planet of the Apes, because they did that?
No, don't worry about it. It's a term. Anyways, I feel like the tropes in this movie, the comedy just doesn't land with me. Is it a good trilogy? Yeah, because I think part 1 is good and part 3 is decent. I hate 2 though so much, but I think the bookends are good.
2 so much?
I think it's so annoying. And
Is it because
all
it
I
has
can
a
hear
father figure?
Honestly, it's the
got daddy
Drax
issues?
thing. It's the Drax thing.
Drax and Mantis.
So annoying. Giant turds.
They do.
Joel.
They definitely play them up more. And these actually are one of the few MC movies I do have to clear play when I'm around my kids.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a lot of stuff to throw in there.
I wish I could
Especially
just
that third one.
clear play how annoying movies are, and then maybe I get like a 15-minute Guardians 2 movie. Because there's some emotional moments. I just think, though, the package is just annoying. But I do think it's a tier 2. I don't hate these movies. I think the bookends
sounds like
are good.
you do.
I just hate 2 so much. It sours everything.
I don't know why I hate 2 so much.
I hate a lot about 2.
Yeah.
But I still am overall going to give this tier 1.
Yeah.
I like these and have a good time. And you got to mention the soundtrack. It brought back 70s soft hits.
Yeah, I love the soundtracks of these, the mixtapes. Also, I want to give credit where credit is due because once again, they took this comic that not a lot of people even knew or care about, and now people know the names like Star-Lord and Groot and Rocket.
To the point where it's the movie they'd rather see over some other MCU projects.
Yes, and to its credit, this is one of the few MCU movies you could just probably watch 1, 2, and 3 and get most of the story.
But a dance off.
So dumb.
Oh, holding hands. Ugh. Oh no, it's tier 3.
Okay, Baby Groot, regular Groot, great. Baby Groot, great. Teen Groot, worst.
Well, teens anything.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I might move this down. I really don't like
No,
it.
we got to move on. We've already
really
ranked it.
don't
We've
like
ranked
it.
it. We're good.
Now we have the Has Fallen trilogy.
Okay, so just to give some context, we have Olympus Has Fallen, which came out in 2013. London Has Fallen in 2016, and Angel Has Fallen in 2019.
Fun fact: I saw Angel Has Fallen first.
What?
I saw the third movie in the trilogy first.
I don't think it matters.
I didn't.
It does.
It kind of
In
there's obviously
2013,
spoilers.
we had Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down. These were the winner movies of that
Was White
year.
House Down Jamie Foxx?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And Olympus
It's
Has Fallen.
2023. I think maybe 2013.
2013.
Yeah.
Olympus Has Fallen. I was like, oh, this will be so stupid. Gerard Butler is trying to be an action star. And honestly, I think this movie's pretty awesome.
Really?
I had such a good time. This is like low budget Die Hard in the White House.
Do you know that Gerard Butler signed on for 3 more Has Fallen films?
Well, I mean,
3 more.
look at his career lately. Come on.
By the way,
What is it, like Old Folks Home Has Fallen?
London Has Fallen is the
I've
big winner
fallen
here.
and I can't get up. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, they could do a duo, like a team
Okay,
up.
go on.
Fallen and Taken.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
And
many
and
cuts
the
and
F,
edits.
The F and the T and the K, they're all kind of blended together over top of each other.
Taking
Anyway.
your medication and falling down.
The second movie's the big winner here with 205 million. That's the peak. But the first movie gets the best ratings. It's a tier 3 for me, though.
Yeah.
It's generic, noisy action with some fun characters and moments, but
And
I
Gerard,
think-
Gerard Butler's, he's never been good at doing a regular accent.
he's
No.
better here than in Phantom of the Opera. I'll say that.
That's not a high bar to clear.
Listen, I really enjoyed the first movie. Kind of like with Guardians, I think the second movie is garbage. But I think the third movie is kind of like, hey, you know what? You gave it a good effort. So for me, it is a tier 2 franchise.
Wow.
I know, weird.
Yeah,
Morgan
no,
Freeman approves.
This is tier 3 all the way. Not even worth being on TNT. I don't like
Their
that.
dad movie.
Oh, it
way.
deserves TNT.
No.
Yeah.
This is like Saturday after mowing the lawn. It's already on. You're like, oh, what's this?
What? Fallen. Cool.
Oh, did I mention that's the United States Secret Service agent? We probably should clarify that.
No.
It's about that in the White House. He's trying to stop people from hurting the president or the White House.
I can't.
I just want to see the box art that says Has Fallen trilogy.
I can't wait for the Hallmark version. Autumn Has Fallen.
Aww.
Now we have what? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yes. Actually,
What do we
the
call
Honey,
this? This is
the Honey trilogy?
I can't even call it the Shrunk trilogy.
No, Honey trilogy, I guess, or Honey Shrunk the Kids
It's just
trilogy.
Honey.
The first movie is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in 1989. The second movie is Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, Not What You Think in 1992. And the third is Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves in 1997.
And the overall synopsis: Wayne Zielinski, an eccentric inventor, creates a machine that can shrink or grow things.
Okay, listen, why is this a trilogy? How was that
That
first
was
movie?
not just a trilogy. There was a TV show and there was a 4D
watch the
ride,
TV
movie
show.
ride
and Josh
attraction.
Gad is trying to make a new one called Shrunk. Yeah, I know.
There was a. Remember? Did any of you guys go? Honey, I Shrunk the Audience.
Oh,
Did you go
yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, listen, that first movie was a banger when you were a kid.
it's an amazing movie.
You cried over an ant.
It's like a favorite movie of mine. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I still
Yeah.
love to this day.
The fear of being in cereal, that's rough.
His dad was gonna eat him.
Yeah. But then they made another one. And I think I tolerated Honey, I Blew Up the Kid,
I
right?
think we all tolerated Honey.
it's like
I
a
saw that one at a drive-in theater. I'm pretty sure. Were
I was
we there at the
literally
same
just
time?
about to say that.
What?
Oh my gosh, that's creepy. Because it feels like a drive-in movie theater or a movie, right? Where it's just like, oh, this is not good. But I see they're trying to recapture the magic and kind of reverse it. And then the third movie was more sitcom
That
type.
was a straight to movie.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was straight to
and
video.
I'm kind of disappointed Rick Moranis agreed to be in that movie because it's really, really bad.
Yeah.
But
And
does the first movie hold up this series altogether?
No, but that's it. We're tiering trilogies here, and
Yeah.
one of the criteria we have is the trilogy, should it be a trilogy? And that I say no. This should have probably stopped with the first one.
Yeah.
I still like the second one because of nostalgia reasons.
No nap.
Exactly. When he's like getting all mad, he's huge.
Giant baby.
Is that Pet Cemetery?
Yeah.
No, that's no fair.
No, not fair.
I am actually excited to watch the second one again now that I have one of those at my house.
Yeah, and that's it. The kids
a
will
movie
love
or a
it.
child?
Yes.
Kids will love it, but I'm giving this a tier 3 simply because Honey I Shrunk the Kids is such a great movie, and the rest of this franchise probably didn't need to exist.
It's a tier 3.
I don't like horror movies, so this bumped up to tier 2.
Oh my gosh.
I'm fine with that.
I really like the first two.
Yeah, first movie,
The
fantastic.
first one is so clever.
And the highest earner, 222 million,
I have never been so attached to an ant.
and the peak in the IMDb score as well,
Oh yeah.
6.4, which seems low.
I think about it every time I eat Cheerios. Every single time.
You always check for kids in your Cheerios.
Your children?
Yep.
Dad, don't eat me, Mom.
Now we have Iron Man.
It's just Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, and they came out in 2008, 2010, 2013.
Yep, and it's Tony Stark building an engineering suit and copying Batman's formula.
And
Yeah.
then building a lot of them.
So the first two were done by Jon Favreau, and the third one was done by Shane Black,
You might know him from Lethal Weapon.
and that's it.
And then you have all the other movies that Tony Stark is in the MCU because he's in a lot of other ones.
But these are a definite, grouping of 3.
The fun thing about this trilogy is that you could watch it as a trilogy and not watch any other Iron Man movies, and it would probably make more sense because at the end of the movie when he blows up all the Iron Man suits,
Okay.
and the next movie he's like, oh, I'm back.
If we were to remove Iron Man 2 and 3, which I would like to do from my memory, and make Iron Man 1, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame the trilogy of Iron Man, that would be a tier 1.
No question.
I'd be like, oh, great. What a great arc. That was amazing, right? Because there's tie-ins in other movies, and that's fine. You know, your Civil Wars and all that. But I think that would be perfect. But to have the peak of the MCU, the one that started all, the tier 1-iest of MCU movies, and then 2 and 3, which to me are bottom of the barrel.
They're bad.
2, I really hated how 2 just felt like a setup. It felt like an ad
Yep.
for Avengers. It didn't
was.
feel like its own thing. And
It was like,
I hate
hey,
that
here's
about
Black
it.
Widow.
But with curly hair, it was really cute.
Yeah, I like seeing Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
And theoretically, Mickey Rourke would have been kind of a cool
But
They could have more
thing.
with him.
But
just
it just
another Iron
doesn't
Man.
come together.
Right.
It doesn't come together very well.
No. But that being said, I do not like
is this a
3.
Matrix thing? Is this where you want to say one movie's so good that it carries the rest?
A little bit, but also because this whole Iron Man trilogy, quote unquote, is supported by the MCU.
But each Iron Man movie kind of kicks off a different phase. And so in that way, they exist on their own just fine.
They do, but that's why I have a hard time giving this a tier 3, because honestly, Iron Man 1 is fantastic, but I do think you need 2 and 3 in order to appreciate the rest of the series. Therefore, I'm giving this a tier 2.
I'm going to
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like if you talked a little bit more, you would have given it a 3.
I was very close to giving it a 3, but I felt bad giving it a 3.
I think that the reason that this works, especially amongst the MCU, is that it exists on its own and it's just Iron Man. There is another MCU franchise in here that can exist on its own, but like Guardians of the Galaxy does its own thing. They are separate for the most part.
Yeah.
Iron Man becomes separate for the most part, so it's fine. I'm giving this a tier 2.
Okay.
Tier 3.
I understand.
Such a great movie. And that's it.
That first one is so
I remember seeing Iron Man
Fun
2,
fact.
so stoked for it, and I was like, you know what? I think this little MCU project's gonna die.
They were trying
Ridiculous.
They were trying to do this since like the late 90s, and Nicolas Cage was attached to it at one point. Tom Cruise was attached to it at some point. Can you picture one of those guys being
Tom Cruise,
Tony
yeah.
Stark?
Yeah.
Tony Stark.
And then Quentin Tarantino was actually approached to direct the Iron Man movie back in early times.
Okay.
But then when Jon Favreau got it, he's like, no, I want Robert Downey Jr. And the studio fought against it.
Yeah.
Because he was on his comeback from a really rough time.
Sure.
That seemed like a
And
doom casting.
It did. But they wanted to get him. And I think he only got, like I said, $500 million for this first movie.
$500,000.
Oh,
But now-
500,000. Yes.
Right.
We only got 500 million.
Poor celebrities.
Our next trilogy is the Jurassic World
Yes.
trilogy.
Yes, it's a Jurassic World trilogy.
Trilogy.
Jurassic World in 2015, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom in 2018, and Jurassic World Dominion in 2022.
It all centers around a disastrous attempt to create a theme park of cloned dinosaurs. And in this trilogy, you get Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, and B.D. Wong. Those are the main
Is
characters.
this like the perfect tier 2 choice? Are all these movies made to be tier 2? Like even the cast is tier 2. Everything about
So what
it.
are you giving it?
Tier 1. Listen, I think Jurassic World, there was something there. We were all excited to revisit things after Jurassic Park 3.
And it is the highest. The first movie is the highest grossing with 1.6 billion.
And I'm doing Dinosaur Hand
You
right
are.
now.
Dinosaur hand
Table
tables,
Dinosaur
yeah.
Hand.
Yeah.
TDH. because that movie, it felt welcome. And then you're like, oh, they're going to go darker with the next movies. And they got into cloning and world domination. And it just didn't work at all. But it's still, they're not horrible. They made a ton of money. They're not horrible.
They made a ton, but they're all over $1 billion.
Why is it so hard to make a Jurassic Park sequel?
I don't know.
I know.
They're all bad.
We haven't done Jurassic Park yet.
They're all bad.
But I'll tell you what, that first movie, wow. It was like a revisiting of
wow.
the original
It even got a
feelings.
wow from you.
Because there were parts where I literally felt like dread, sitting in my movie theater seat being like, I am really scared right now. And I hadn't felt that in a long time.
What is the most memorable part of Jurassic World?
Running in high heels.
The woman getting grabbed by the pterodactyl
That's
and
it.
dropped
Those
in
two memeable moments, and that is it.
Oh, and the standing there holding the hands in front of the raptors.
Bluey.
Yeah.
Bluey.
Bluey. Na 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 na.
Chomp. But no, I gave this a tier 3.
Oh, wow.
Because once again, if it were just Jurassic Park and then Jurassic World, that would have been an amazing duo of films, a couple of films. All the other ones, not great. Spoiling for my later opinion of when we do Jurassic Park, but I hated Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom. I thought it was awful.
And then Dominion is worse.
It's not. It's just bad.
Yeah.
And so tier 3 for me.
Okay. Zach?
First time I saw Jurassic World, I went, The Lost World was pretty good.
Yeah, same.
I hate this movie, and I've never even bothered with the follow-ups.
You're
hate
good.
these.
You're absolutely fine.
I was mad when I was watching this going, I don't know what it is. Something just didn't resonate with me.
Hear me out, though,
it was
Zach.
very dissonant. I didn't like it.
In each of these movies, they create a hybrid dinosaur that's a super dinosaur.
Super dinosaur?
Each of these movies. Yeah, don't see them.
No, this is a tier 3 for me, for sure.
Makes sense.
Now we have the Meet the
Parents.
Meet the Parents trilogy.
Careful, Kent.
Meet the Parents came out in the year 2000. Can I say the title of the
Yes,
second
you can.
movie?
It's the name of the family.
Meet the Fockers in 2004 and Little Fockers in 2010.
Which is just Is
that
cheap.
okay? Does that seem wrong?
It's a cheap attempt.
Yeah, they're like, hey guys, the funniest part about this movie is the title, right?
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Follows the character Ben Stiller as he interacts with his family and in-laws.
Yeah, I hate these movies.
But you get Ben Stiller, Robert De Niro, Owen Wilson, Dustin Hoffman, Blythe Danner. Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman together again, Kent.
Yeah.
Never as a powerhouse of actors stoop so low.
Look, the first one has its moments, but I feel like the problem is like, could anything else go wrong? It's like everything that it's the worst possible luck for Ben Stiller's character in each of these movies.
It is one of those everything that will go wrong does go wrong, to the point where you're like, wow, this is really just almost coincidental at this point. It's funny for a bit.
Yes.
By the way, the peak here in money is the second movie, and the peak in ratings is the first movie. And for me, the peak in ratings is the first movie too. But I don't love this series because it is kind of like, it's almost obnoxious how much goes wrong.
Yeah.
I do still quote some things from this movie because occasionally you say things, or bomb.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, tier 3 for me.
Yeah, tier 3.
Guys.
It's okay, Zach.
No.
It can hit certain people's funny bones.
It's because you have a kid. I knew it.
That first one's pretty funny. I like it, but I just really
When he hits
like
the volleyball in the face, that makes me laugh.
I really like a lot of stuff on this list, a lot less. So this ended up in tier 2. I'm sorry.
No need to apologize. It almost made a tier 2 for me just because that first movie, there are some memorable moments and some fun times.
Come on, spray painted cat's tails. It's so fun. And sewage weddings.
Yes.
Yay.
Starting fires.
Now we have Pee Wee Herman.
Loosely a trilogy.
Yeah. Now tell me about these.
The first movie is
I'll give you a nickel if you do it in a Pee Wee Herman voice.
Because you got it's like it's two phases.
I want to hear Kent do Pee Wee Herman.
You're going to give me a nickel?
I'll give you a nickel.
A nickel.
A nickel.
Oh, hey, kids. You made me give me a nickel right now.
No, I said a Pee Wee Herman impersonation.
You know what you sounded like? You sounded like the clown from Billy Madison.
Oh, yeah. I thought I died. Hey, kids.
Okay, go ahead with the movies.
Okay, so we have Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, directed by Tim Burton, by the way, in 1985. What? And then we have two other movies. Big Top Pee Wee in 1988, directed by Randall Kleiser. Okay. And Pee Wee's Big Holiday, directed by John Lee.
Now, Pee Wee's Big Adventure came out in 1985, and Pee Wee's Big Holiday came out in 2016. That was that kind of like a throwback.
There was like a span of time where Paul Rubens wasn't really doing much.
Yeah, he was doing something.
Wow.
That was actually better.
Okay, good.
But no,
2 nickels?
No, that was Colossus, is what you just did. But this is Paul Rubens plays Pee Wee Herman. The peak in money here is the first one, 41 million. The peak in ratings is the first one.
You know what's weird is Tim Burton, I know it's his first movie, but like he essentially took on a movie for like what would be considered like a Fred type movie now, where it's like a YouTuber or
Kind of,
Vine
yeah.
star.
Well, because I found out, by the way, like, I mean, we could do a whole episode.
Fred
of Pee Wee
show?
Herman.
I know.
No.
Yeah, there's 3 movies of that, but 2, by the way.
It came from improv comedy. It was this character he came up with.
Okay.
Paul Rubens came up with Pee Wee Herman, and him and Phil Hartman, which I found out had a lot bigger role in creating Pee Wee Herman than I thought. Phil Hartman from SNL.
Yeah.
But they
Legend.
created this character, and it was just like in comedy shows for a bit, and then he got like some appearances on TV, and then he got his own movie.
Yeah.
It's bizarre how the story of
Pee Wee's
Herman came to
Playhouse
be.
was pretty great when we were kids.
Yes.
And by pretty great, I mean like kind of watchable for 5 minutes.
I enjoy it still.
The word of the day.
Pee Wee feels like a Zoolander of his day. Like, why is this a thing?
Oh, okay. Trying to show me
Oh, geez, that was good.
the jump scare.
That being said, I did enjoy Pee Wee's Playhouse. I very much enjoy Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and I actually like Big Top Pee Wee a great deal as well.
A great deal.
It's all right.
What's her name? Not Carla Gugino. I can't remember her name. Oh, she was the Italian actress who was in like everything for a while.
Isabella
in the 80s.
Rossellini?
No.
That's who that is.
Oh, I can look it up right now.
Okay,
No,
please
we have
look it
no
up.
idea.
Doesn't matter. But the point is that this movie ended up being Valeria Golino. That's her name. She was.
Oh, yeah,
things?
she was in other stuff.
She was Gina Piccola Pupola. But me and my buddies would watch this.
She was in Hot Shots.
and Ring Man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it easy. I love her.
Yeah. But
I want to look at cloud shapes with her.
I know.
Right?
Can't. I know what you're referencing in Big Top Pee Wee. But I'm giving this a tier 2.
It's a tier 2.
I know they're not high quality movies. Well, the first one actually could be considered high quality.
Yeah.
But Big Top Pee Wee and Pee Wee's Big
Lasting
Holiday were
impression
both
with Large
enjoyable.
Marge.
Yes.
Zach?
It's not good. I mean, the first one. I like the first one. But like the Big Top, whatever.
With the
that
circus
third one
performers.
is horrible.
It's not horrible. It's nostalgic.
awful. It's creepy.
It's nostalgic.
It's a
and a gray
Netflix
suit with a
movie.
red bow tie.
Yeah.
It's too much makeup. No, tier 3. Tier 3.
Oh, yeah, understandable.
I'm not a Pee Wee guy.
My wife. would
I
agree
think it's
with
an
you.
era thing.
My wife is nodding her head right now, saying Zach is right, and she'll probably tell me that because she
that's fine.
hates Pee Wee Herman.
But we all wanted that bike, though.
There's like some 80s Hall of Famers in this show. Mick Dundee.
Yep.
Pee Wee Herman.
Yep. Who else? Name a third.
What a terrible Mount
We're
Rushmore.
going to leave it there.
Yeah, there's one later.
Okay.
He's a cop.
Oh, yeah.
That goes on this weird Rushmore.
I'll buy that for $1.
And now we have Poltergeist.
First movie is Poltergeist, 1982, directed by Tobe Hooper. Poltergeist 2, The Other Side, in 1986. And then Poltergeist 3 in 1988. I didn't mention the other directors because the first one is the only real major director.
It's in 2015.
Oh, and then there's the remake in 2015 with Sam Rockwell.
That's okay.
But listen, Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3. But let's be real.
And the original trilogy of Poltergeist movies revolves around the members of the Freeling family who are stalked and terrorized by a group of ghosts.
Carol Ann.
And you get Craig T. Nelson, JoBeth Williams, Heather O'Rourke in this movie. The highest earner here is the first movie with 121 million, and the highest IMDb rating is also the first one.
I don't think it's a hot take to think that number 2 is almost as great as the first movie.
You guys
almost
love
great.
it.
Yeah,
I
Zach,
loved
you do
it.
not. You talked about how uneven Poltergeist was, if I remember, because it was like goofy at times and scary,
And
at
like
times.
weirdly scary and like, hey, look.
But it's a family trying to figure out what's going on, right?
Dead bodies.
But I don't hate the third one either, Kent.
It's weird.
It is weird, but keep
Like
in mind,
strange weird. Like it gives me a weird feeling because I know everything that kind of was happening
yes,
behind the
because
scenes.
sadly the young actress Heather O'Rourke passed away during the filming of Poltergeist 3 and had to replace her with like a body double, so she's like weirdly not in the movie for a long time, and the whole time you're like, that's
And they make her play. They play her too young,
yeah,
right?
they do.
Like she's grown up at that point.
yeah,
And they're
she's
like,
wearing a onesie and she's like, I don't know, 10 or something.
I think
like
she's
that.
37. Rest in peace. Kid. Well, am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No,
I just spit. Oh, my goodness.
This podcast is clean.
Send your hate mail to baconsale@gmail.com. And then, yeah, there is the curse associated with this trilogy as well, because some actors passed away, young cast members passed away during the filming.
As referenced by me. You're welcome.
And then apparently they're going to they have a television series that's in early development on Amazon or something. I don't know. But that being said, I acknowledge, Zach, that there is definitely some unevenness in the first one. Kent, I acknowledge that the second one, while really good, isn't as good as the first one. But I also acknowledge that I like the third one. Therefore, I'm giving this a tier 2, middle of the road. But really fun horror if you're into that kind of
Zach,
thing.
what do you give it?
Oh, it's not my thing. Tier 3.
Tier 3.
High tier 3. I like them. I like them.
tier
but-
No such thing as high tier 3.
High tier 3.
It's a Tier 1.
Whoa,
I think
wow.
Poltergeist 1 and 2 are like the perfect double play.
We've talked many times about Kent about how Kane terrifies
yeah.
us.
Yes,
So the
I
preacher in
know
number
about
2.
Kane.
to this day.
He terrifies me. And also when you realize the backstory of him that he was passing away and he knew it and he was trying to get money for his children or whatever. Oh, it's sad.
Yeah.
And it's scary the way he plays
so
it.
scary. And braces.
but then there's a weird-
ruined braces.
Whoa.
And swimming pools.
But then there's the weird tequila worm and
I didn't really understand that at that time, but yeah.
And he throws up a demon.
Right.
It's a weird moment.
That was the best like anti-drinking ad ever. It's like, yep.
I haven't touched the stuff since Poltergeist 2.
I'm really glad you gave it a tier 1 because it's been a little bit of a dry spell. It's been about a third of the show since we gave anything a tier 1.
Oh, okay, so we're saving them.
Apparently.
Oh, hey.
Are we now?
Our last tier 1 was Guardians. That was like a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, now we have the Robert Langdon trilogy.
Robert Langdon has fallen.
What movies are in this trilogy, Kent?
We're starting off with the Da Vinci Code in 2006, but then we go with the prequel, Angels and Demons, in 2009. And then there's a memory hole movie called Inferno that apparently was made.
It was made and came out, but who remembers watching it?
Nobody.
Okay. Do you feel like we're being gaslit by Ron Howard? A
little bit.
Okay. Does anyone, I'm talking to you, listener, remember seeing Inferno?
In theaters or at home?
Because
remember?
obviously Da Vinci Code, huge, obviously for the book. And then when they announced the movie, obviously Tom Hanks was totally miscast.
Yeah.
But the movie came out and everyone's like, oh yeah, I remember that. And then Angels and Demons like, oh yeah, it's kind of similar.
Hugh McGregor, yeah.
And then it dropped off. And then we have 7 years in between to the next movie. What?
That was weird.
But the cast is pretty stacked.
Which
And
one had
they're-
Paul Bettany?
Yeah, the first movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Da Vinci Code. And this is all based on a novel series by Dan Brown, and it's all about the character Robert Langdon, who's a symbologist, and he solves mysteries and almost dies every time.
Tom Hanks with a mullet.
Tom Hanks, Audrey Tautou, Ian McKellen, Hugh McGregor. It's gotten directed by Ron Howard. This is not a slouch of a movie.
Yeah.
First movie is the biggest earner with $758 million. The others don't even come close to that. And the biggest ratings one is actually Angels and Demons with 6.
I prefer it slightly.
Really?
Book and the movie.
The book is really good.
Between this and National Treasure, it was just a great time for thinking that there were all these tricks right in front of you.
Yeah, these
Yeah.
hidden symbols everywhere. They also did make a Robert Langdon TV show called The Lost Symbol in 2021. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
They did.
Come on.
But here's the thing. I went on a couple of cross-country trips around this time, and Dan Brown is a fantastic author to listen to on a cross-country trip.
Really?
It's just these really quick chapters, keeps
It's
you
like a page.
engaged.
Yeah.
It's so good. And like every chapter ends, and then he opened the door and was shocked to find what was beside. Chapter 5.
Turn the page.
Yeah. And it keeps you going. And so I was really into the books at this time. And also the movies came out. And I was like, you know what? I love Audrey Tautou. I don't think Tom Hanks was well cast. I love Audrey Tautou.
Yeah, she's great.
I thought Hugh McGregor was good. I'm giving this a tier 2 just because it is one of those cultural phenomenon things where it's like, remember Dan Brown books? Those were fun. And all the little symbols that you kind of go, wow, that's kind of cool. They connected those things. Tier 2.
Tier 3.
Tier 3?
Come on.
Ew.
They're poorly made. Come on, Ron Howard. You can do better.
No, he can't.
Backdraft just called.
No, they can't.
Willow.
He doesn't make good movies. He makes fine movies.
Apollo 13.
He makes tier 2 movies and Apollo 13.
Nice save.
Okay, tier 2 for me. Now we have RoboCop.
RoboCop.
Dun, 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 dun. RoboCop in 1987, RoboCop 2 1990, RoboCop 3 1993. This is pretty consistent.
2014.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Which is not that good.
Did you guys know? So obviously the first one is very well known. It's directed by Paul Verhoeven, classic cult director of the time. The second one, Irvin Kershner.
Yeah,
I just
from
love
Empire
to say-
Strikes Back.
Irvin Kershner.
By the way, this centers around the futuristic adventures of Alex Murphy, a Detroit, Michigan police officer who is fatally wounded in the line of duty and transformed into a powerful cyborg. Part man, part machine.
Kick puncher.
All cop. That was what the poster in my room said. That's what the toy said. Which, by the way,
Sure.
is this not one of the weirdest marketing ploys of the 80s is say, hey, let's take this really rated R movie
Really?
and turn it to a children's cartoon and
Yeah.
a toy line.
RoboCop.
Yeah.
A Sega Genesis game.
Yep, played it.
So the first movie is a legit classic. It's a cult classic. It's weird, but it's meant to be weird, and it nails it.
And it is the highest earner here with $53 million.
There's so much social satire here. And then I remember as a kid going, I think I like number 2 better because there's a little bit more action.
Really?
And number 2 is a bad movie.
It is.
But I thought it was cool at the time because you have like a bigger, badder version of the tech that he fought. What was that thing with the bad CG?
Oh, I can remember it.
Someone out there is yelling at us. And then 3 was released, and even as a kid, I was like, wow, this is really lazy. Like, why did they do this?
Carla Gugino. That's the name of the giant robot.
Yes, please. And so, yeah, it just declining quality, though I do love the first movie, but it makes it a tier 3 for me.
A tier 3?
Yeah.
Kid, why are you being so hard on this?
I'm sorry. I needed to make room.
Ed 209.
Oh, yeah, because I would remember that.
That was the name of the robot.
Sure.
I remember that now.
Yeah, but as a trilogy, it just doesn't work. They had a really great idea, and as a standalone movie, what a cool thing to stick with. As a trilogy, come on, fumes.
So watching the original movie, it is surprisingly deep.
Yes.
The whole concept of like, well, he died, so he's our property now. It's like, no, he's not property. He's still a human inside there. And, bringing into question like artificial intelligence and robotics and everything that's
Yeah,
coming
and a
out now.
dystopian future and all that. Yeah.
It's a little weird. And but at the same time, man, it's kind of a weird movie overall and highly violent, man. So I watched this a lot as a kid, and I was watching it going, would I show this to my kids now? I don't know. 2 and 3, not great. Don't need to be made. This is a tier 3.
Okay, wow.
RoboCop, or as I like to call it, Lesser Inspector Gadget, gets a tier 3 for me.
You're talking about the animated series and not the movies, correct?
I said what I said.
RoboCop,
Zack.
be Inspector Gadget.
Oh,
French Stewart and Peter Weller. I would watch that movie.
Matthew.
By the way, no, French
Matthew
Stewart.
Broderick.
I think number 2 is better.
Inspector Gadget
Yeah,
movies?
number 2 is better.
I don't know about better, but more accurate. I'll give you.
Yeah,
that.
so
Save it for our cybernetic police officer episode.
Matthew Broderick was like Tom Hanks in Robert Langdon.
Yeah, a little
Miscast.
Yeah, but adorable. I could quote that whole movie. It's really weird. Now we have Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, so there's no alternate titles here. 1, 2, and 3 came out in 1998, 2001, and 2007.
Hong Kong Chief Inspector Lee and Los Angeles Police Detective James Carter go on the series of misadventures involving corrupt crime figures in Hong Kong and Los Angeles. Directed by Brett Ratner.
All 3 of these, actually.
Yeah, he did all 3 of these. The highest earner here is the second movie with $347 million, and the best rated one is the first one.
Why do I like these movies, yet can't recall a single moment from them?
I will tell you why. If it was just the gag reel at the end, this
are
would
so
be
fun.
a tier 1.
Yeah.
They are so good. Jackie Chan is great, and I don't know why the pairing of
It's great. Chris Tucker.
Yeah, and
Who can
and
be
Jackie
great in.
Chan, but they work so well together.
They do.
It is like so much better than with Owen Wilson in the Shanghai.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There was supposed to be,
Which, by the way, we should have got a third
Shanghai
one.
Noon and
the
Shanghai
Shanghai
Nights.
Dawn was being made,
Shanghai Dawn of the Dead.
and it just didn't end up getting off the ground.
Well, I'm really sad now.
Yeah.
Shanghai Dead by Dawn.
No.
I'd watch that a lot, actually.
But there is something. It's these.
Is
work,
it the pairing? Because if it was anyone else, it
these
would
work
work.
because of the pairing. It's this. It's the buddy comedy thing, the buddy cop thing, but it's not cliche because they are so out there. There's not like, oh, he's an archetype and he's an archetype.
But all
but
3
offensive as well,
movies,
which is kind of fun.
it doesn't
Yes.
get tired by the third.
Not
Yes.
when they were that spread out.
No, I think they waited too long to make the third.
They did. It had passed its prime. It needed to come out 3 years sooner.
But that being said, I do enjoy these movies. By the way, there's talk of a 4th one. Jackie Chan said the 4th film was in development. So
Yeah, he said that Shanghai Dawn
Listen,
was in development too.
Will I see it day one? Yeah, I miss Jackie Chan and I miss Chris Tucker in a big way.
those Blueberries are going to be sad with Jackie Chan now, though.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it sounds like it's perfect for a Netflix deal.
Yeah, totally. All right, so tier 2. I think all around?
Zach, did you introduce? Sound like you're giving it a tier 1.
I'm giving it a tier 2.
I wanted to give it a tier 1.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I wanted to, but it ended up being bumped down to tier 2.
That third one is not so
Guys.
not so fun.
This may be the only time we've matched.
Yeah. No, we all gave RoboCop a tier 3.
Okay.
And Divergent. But yeah, I think these
they're
are
fine.
These are fun. There
Yeah.
are some quotable moments that we specifically are not allowed to quote.
We can say, do you hear the words coming out of my
we
mouth?
can't. We
Nope.
can't. Nope, we can't.
Yeah, we can't. It's Chris Tucker.
Nope, we can't. But it's a good movie. I like it. Now we have the Spider-Man Home trilogy.
Yes, because there is a Spider-Man trilogy,
Sure.
and there's an Andrew Garfield attempt at movies.
Homeless.
But with
like Spider-Man was.
but with this one, we have 3 movies that are specifically the Tobey Maguire ones, Kent, right?
Yeah, so we have Homecoming in 2017, Far From Home in 2019, and Homesick in 2021.
No.
So what
Isn't
is
that
it-
what you
is
were
it
going to
really?
call it?
No, it's Home for Christmas.
Home for the holidays.
Home for the holidays.
Home for the holidays.
No Way Home. All 3 of these are directed by John Watts.
And good for him for directing 3 movies that are solid, because these are big money earners. In fact, the Far From Home is the highest earner here with $1.9 billion, and it is the highest rated on IMDb as well. The third movie. The third movie.
Oh, the third movie.
Yeah.
Not Far From Home.
Not Far
No
From Home.
Way
Third
Home.
movie. Yes. No Way Home.
Oh, phew.
Yeah. Which
Man,
No Way
I hate
Home.
that second movie so much.
What? Why do you hate second movies so much?
I know it's weird, but they really messed it up. Listen, I have given a lot of flack to this series, and I liked where it eventually got. It's kind of like a Star Wars prequel thing to me, where the last half of the third movie is really, really cool, but that's about it, because everything else is just a Tony Stark mentoring session.
Have you guys gone back and watched Far From Home, the last one, again after
tell me
watching
about
that first theatrical experience?
No.
I haven't either.
No, I
know you really like these movies,
I
though.
know, but that's the thing. I don't want to watch it again because I know second viewing, all the nostalgia and just those cameo points are gonna kind of.
No, it was.
I know them now, so when I watch it again, the flaws are gonna be more apparent.
It was too magical. It was literally. I was going, I don't want to watch these movies. I'm done with these movies. Endgame happened. I don't want to watch them. And then it was the night. It was Friday night, and I was like, I have to see this. And so I jumped on, and I had to like scour to find tickets to find this thing. And I went and I had to go see it.
It was an amazing theatrical experience watching Far From
I made my wife watch a bunch of summary videos because she hadn't seen any of the other ones, but I was going to go see it immediately. I'm like, it doesn't really matter, but here's what's going on. And this was a magical in-theater experience.
It was.
The first one was like, oh, look, Peter Parker's actually the appropriate age. That second one is it's kind of a mess.
Spider-Man Euro
not-
Trip. It's horrible.
It's
It's
fun.
kind of...
And look, if Andrew Garfield was in all of No Way Home, this may get a tier 1 as a trilogy.
The first half
By
of
the way,
No Way
yes,
Home
this
is
stars Tom Holland and Zendaya Marie Stormer Coleman. That's her full name.
Smith.
Marissa Tomei, Robert Downey
Did you
Jr.
make up those middle names?
No, it's that's her full name. It's Zendaya. Yeah, Zendaya Marie
Sure.
Stormer Coleman.
Listen,
Tier 1. I think I'm tier 1 for me.
I think
There's
it's
no
a
doubt.
good-ish. I think it's a good-ish trilogy
One of the few. One of the
that
flaws
ends really well.
One of the flaws of this trilogy is the fact that it is highly dependent on the other MCU movies.
Yes, it struggles to stand on its own. And this is what I was kind of going at earlier. Like Iron Man is fine on its own. Not great, but fine. Guardians, I think, is totally fine on its own.
Yeah.
And this is not. It doesn't exist on its own. That's I think the weakness is Spider-Man doesn't exist on its own in his own story.
Yeah.
It's entirely reliant on everything else, and I hate that about it. But I really feel like it's my meta getting in the way of like Marvel saying, "Hey, Sony, you are not allowed to exist on your own. This version of this character is dependent on our stuff."
Yeah.
And I hate that. But I like these movies tier 1.
Tier 2.
Not surprised.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not deserved.
Andrew
Tier 1.
Garfield
needs to be the boy.
Oh, Far From Home was horrible. Wait, Pee Wee Herman?
He's here.
Did he get offended by Tony Stark?
I know you are, but what am I? All right, now
bad.
we have Star Wars.
Yes, the original trilogy. Which ones does the original trilogy have? in it?
Episode 4, A New Hope in 1977,
Star
directed by
Wars.
George Lucas. Episode 5, The Empire Strikes
Just
Back in
say the
1980,
subtitles.
directed by Irvin Kershner. And Episode 6, Return of the Jedi in 1983, directed by Richard Marquand.
If you don't know, the film centers on the galactic civil war between Rebel Alliance and Tyrannical 321. If you don't know, the film centered on the galactic civil war between the Rebel Alliance and the tyrannical Galactic Empire, as well as the archetypal hero's journey of Luke Skywalker and his quest to become a Jedi under the tutelage of exiled Jedi Masters Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda.
So we sometimes, when we talk about these movies, we kind of say, what's your favorite? Does it stand on its own? But as a trilogy,
As a trilogy?
mercy.
Are we even going to pretend we're not all going to
No,
do
it's all tier 1, obviously.
This is a tier
The
1.
triptych at the end of Return of the Jedi is so perfect.
The what?
The triptych.
I thought you said cryptid.
Yeah, same thing. It's that turtle. You put the water in his skull.
It's an Ewok.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But no, I think the way this starts, because I don't love Episode 4, A New Hope.
Just call it Star Wars.
But I really like it. But then it just builds and builds and gets better. And even though the last movie is considered silly, now over time, the ending is amazing and it ends the trilogy perfectly.
Highest earner here, original. Star Wars.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah, it
sense.
was
Yeah.
$775 million.
Yeah, I mean, it came out
And
of nowhere.
But number 2 is the highest critically rated by 0.1. Kent.
it should be a lot
Empire
more.
Strikes Back by 0.1.
Because it's so freaking good.
I actually, I think over time, because so many people are like, Empire is the most challenging, Empire is the best. I'm like,
It is.
Fine. I like the first one better.
What about Return of the Jedi?
I love Return of the Jedi.
I've never been a huge Jedi guy.
I think Star Wars, the original Star Wars, is the best. Return of the Jedi is my favorite.
I don't like forest settings in movies.
That being said, these are all 5 stars for me. These are all perfect scores for me. I'm not downplaying any of these movies.
Yeah.
They're all real good and tier 1. So good.
I also don't like sand. So
That was last episode.
I only like the first, or only like the second one because
Yeah.
I like clouds. Just
You
fine.
like snow? Snow Planet?
Oh, swamps.
And to think this all started because
Hey, I think you hate the outdoors.
oh yeah, that's what it is.
You know, Death Stars all day.
I like inside.
You know, there's AC in the Death Star, but outside, brr.
I mean, this is an easy tier one, probably my favorite trilogy of all time. So
Yeah, it's
whatever.
tier one.
It's Star
It's
Wars. We
definitely
don't
up
got to
there.
go on.
Yeah.
Now we have the Godfather. You're gonna Schindler.
Post.
I was going to play Nose Flute. Do you know the Nose Flute?
No.
Okay, fine. Godfather 1, 2, and 3. This is 1972, 1974, and then to jump to 1990.
Yes, the films follow the trials of the fictional Italian mafia Corleone family, whose patriarch Vito Corleone rises to be a major figure in American organized crime.
In the Film of Films bracket, we talked a lot about Godfather 2 for some reason, because that was the only movie that showed up.
Zack's not a fan of Godfather 2.
The Godfather 2 is legendary. It's absolutely wonderful. Godfather 1 is just freaking amazing. Godfather 3, I hadn't seen up until recently, and I watched it for this show. And you
Wait, you did watch it for this show?
I did. It always got a bad rap because it's like the embarrassing one, right?
Did you watch?
It's the nepotism one.
Did you watch the theatrical release or the recently redone coda?
Theatrical release. I want to watch the coda.
You should
Yeah.
watch the Snyder Cut.
Okay. Wait, it's longer?
Yes.
Oh, no. They're so long.
By the way, did you know...
So I'm just going to say though, real
yeah.
quick, it's not a bad movie. It's because you feel the dread the entire time. It's just not as artistic or well done. It's just the lesser, but it's not bad.
Sofia Coppola.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
they put her in the spotlight, and she does
Like
not
Andy
shine
Garcia is
in
pretty
that
good in the
acting role.
movie.
Yeah, I don't hate number 3,
Right.
Godfather 3, as much either, because we were having a kind of an end of our accomplishment of watching all the Godfather movies, and we had like a big pasta dinner to go with it, and grape juice and garlic bread. So I have very positive associations because of that. But did you guys know that The Godfather is like The Hobbit of its time? And I say The Hobbit being they all have hairy feet. No, I'm saying it's Hobbit because it's one book broken into 3 films.
Okay.
Mario Puzo's book is one book. There actually are 6 books, but apparently the 3 movies are just in like the first book.
Wow.
If my resource is correct.
I wonder if people complained or if they were okay with this.
I don't know. But they actually, Andy Garcia did say they were working on another Godfather movie, but after Mario Puzo died, they kind of put the end on that. You're going to get people like Al Pacino, Diane Keaton, Talia Shire, Marlon Brando, Robert De Niro, Robert Duvall, James Caan, Sofia Coppola, all in this movie. The highest earner here is the first movie by far. In fact, it's weird. The first movie got $291 million. The second movie only $93 million.
What?
And the third movie, $136 million. So the second movie did not make as much movie.
Strange.
But the first movie is also the highest rated as well.
Okay.
Just barely.
Just barely.
Just barely.
So I did want to follow up what I said earlier. So the Godfather coda is the Godfather 3 that has been recut. It's called the Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. Spoilers. But it is essentially a recut version. It's a few minutes shorter, changes the beginning and the ending, as well as just a couple of edits, musical cue changes. I mean, nothing can fix an entire performance.
Sure.
But a coda is a concluding musical section. Thematically and story-wise, it was not designed in the traditional sense of a trilogy.
It's also a Child of Deaf Adults and Academy Award winner. Coda.
Yeah,
It's also up, up, down, down, left, right.
Left, right, BA star.
Yep.
So
That's a Konami coda.
yeah. So this, where most trilogies are like, okay, we're going to have the cool beginning, we're going to have the bridge middle, and then we're going to have the climactic end.
Yeah.
Coda is like almost like a fall off, right?
Okay.
It's essentially designed, this trilogy is designed to be like, wow, what a great beginning. And then it actually reaches its peak in The Godfather 2. And it really is just meant to fall off for that third one and essentially seeing as the dust settles. And so with that in mind, I think it affects like what The Godfather Part 3 is supposed to be in this overall franchise. The peak is not supposed to be the third one. That is just here's where everyone landed.
Like an epilogue.
Yeah.
Here's like an epilogue. The entire movie is an epilogue. It works more if you think about it that way.
Yeah.
Tier 1.
Tier 1.
Tier 1.
Okay.
Easy. Now, speaking of just the best, the Mighty Ducks. What?
Mighty Ducks
We
1.
just went from Star Wars Godfather to the Mighty Ducks. Whatever.
So there's D2, the Mighty Ducks. Is it D3, the Mighty
D3
Ducks?
The Mighty Ducks, yeah. 1996.
Okay, so 1992, 94, 96.
The movies revolve around the Twin Cities ice hockey team composed of young players that stick together throughout various challenges. Starring Emilio Estevez, Joshua Jackson, and Jussie Smollett.
What?
Yep.
Huh?
He's one of the boys in the first movie.
Really?
wow.
Yeah.
What else happened with him later in his life?
Not much.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has been. Remember that? The highest earner here is the first one. And actually, it was a surprise on how much it earned. And then the highest rated is also the first movie, but it's not a highly rated movie.
I like D2
on IMDb. It's
so
average.
much.
Yeah.
Do we like D3?
It's okay.
D3 is all right. Is that the Preppy Academy one?
No, that's the Olympics one.
I can't keep them straight. That's the problem.
Wait, is the second one the Olympics one? Oh no!
Now
I
you're
think
gonna
The second
mix the
one,
someone
There's
help
no way
us
of knowing.
out.
There's no way of knowing.
Yeah, someone should help us out. Anyways, I do think there's some consistency. I really like 1 and 2. I think they're pretty fun. I think seeing the cast together. Oh, the third one is where Pacey from Dawson's Creek is like the coach
Didn't
in
help
that
me.
one.
I have no idea who that is.
Joshua Jackson.
Oh yeah, he's in the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like the cast. I think Emilio Estevez actually has a really good like dramatic arc as a character.
Yeah.
Like almost too dramatic for the story, but it's a great sports
He's given
movie.
it all. Well, and this caught everyone by surprise. Like Disney was like, "Oh yeah, we'll make this movie, and whatever," and then it got a lot of money, and they ended up like launching a television series, and then an animated television series, and then a real hockey team.
Okay, but the animated series, there were like robot crime fighters.
Of the
Wait,
90s.
that's D3, right?
Is that the third one?
They went to the Olympics big game.
It's a Mighty Ducks
Yeah,
RoboCop crossover.
There's a
Oh,
preppy
they're going to be
private-
in that show.
It was a preppy private school, but they turned into robots that shot lasers. I don't know. Yeah, and then an entire hockey team, the Mighty Ducks. Now the Anaheim Ducks.
I did just watch the first movie recently with my kids. I was
Okay.
like, I want to see how my kids will react to this. I haven't watched it for a long time. It is not as good as I remember.
no.
It's still enjoyable. There still is a nostalgia there, but I'll tell you what, when they go for comedy, they go for childish comedy.
Like
know-
flatulence?
More than that.
And
Like remember
that's-
the scene with the purse and the dog and
yep.
the dog
and that is so frustrating in a child movie. You know?
Well, it's constant.
kid,
Like,
kid
there's-
humor in a kid movie. It's just the worst.
No, potty humor in a kids movie.
played.
Yeah. Oh,
You can do. You don't have
man.
to do that every time. But
What are they going to do? Make the kids
But that
laugh?
was like what they were
worst.
That's what they were lying is like. Oh, it's slow. Yeah, let's do a fart joke. All right.
Yeah.
And so I
That's
kept.
how I live my life.
I was watching with my kids, and I'm like, are they enjoying this as much as I? Because me and my buddies, we were like, yeah, we should form a hockey league.
Yeah.
Never been on the ice. Well, I have, but like not as a kid. But I'm giving this a tier 3.
Ooh.
It seemed harsh, but it wasn't until after I watched that movie and I watched that first movie. I'm like, yeah, that's like the highest point of this franchise. It's all downhill from here.
See, I have good memories, and I'm going to leave them there in the tier 2 good memory zone.
Same.
Yeah.
Preppy Team USA.
Preppy Olympics,
Team
robot
USA,
fighters,
tier
street sharks.
D2 is Team
Do
USA.
the Mighty Ducks take on the street sharks?
They probably crossed over.
Yeah.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
RoboCop. Now we have Toy Story. Just 3 of them.
Oh, really? Because they're still going.
We're talking about the trilogy.
There's 4. There's Lightyear. 5's coming out in 2 years.
We'll call it the Andy trilogy.
So they came out in 1995, 99, and 2010. The first 2 were directed by John Lasseter, and then it's Lee Unkrich.
Yep. It centers around toys that, unknown to humans, are secretly living sentient creatures, which sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah.
There's so many
Yeah, basically
questions.
put sentient toys deal with abandonment issues.
Yeah. And you got
In
Tom
all 3
Hanks,
of them.
Tim Allen, Don Rickles, Jim Varney, John Ratzenberger, Wallace Shawn, Annie Potts. Like, it just, these voices sound like childhood to me. And I wasn't a kid when this came out.
Right.
I
You know,
was.
I've hated on part 2s a lot in this show, but part 2 is the best of the series.
It is also not the highest earning.
I know.
Because the third one got $1 billion.
What?
Which is like double what number 2 got.
Jeez.
And also the first and third movies are rated the same at IMDb at 8.3. In the middle is a little drop in the middle.
Why are we calling the third one the final of the trilogy?
Because it ended so well.
Yes.
Because
It's
it was
the
a
end-
beautiful ending.
It's the end of the Andy arc.
And it is
The new
moment,
ones are the Bonnie.
the moment
Yeah, but
when
then she ruined
when
Woody.
it ends on the clouds, when it started on the clouds, I get emotional every time I watch that third movie and see it come full circle.
Do you?
I do.
Is the third movie good?
No,
Or does it
it's
just begin and end well?
amazing.
Yes.
I don't think it's good.
I don't
I
like
love-
the third movie very much.
What?
No, I
Yeah.
think this is what I'll call the up effect.
Sunnydale, is that the name of it?
Yeah,
Sunnyvale?
Sunnyside.
Okay.
No, I don't
Riverdale.
care.
Oh,
I don't.
Carla Gugino.
I don't care
209.
at all about any of the daycare stuff. Lots of Fucking Bear is a terrible villain.
Yep.
No.
This is the Up effect. Up is not a good movie. It has a couple of good moments.
Dare you, sir?
It has a couple of good
love
moments.
language. Thank you, Zach.
And it has a good beginning.
Dare you?
That's the same thing with Toy Story. It has characters we love.
Yeah.
And we get it. You're holding hands on the way to an incinerator, and then you're given away. And just because your childhood is over doesn't mean these movies are good.
They are good. They are absolutely good. This is a fantastic trilogy. I would say one of the perfect trilogies out there where every
it's like
movie
the
is
Bourne
fantastic.
series. It's so redundant, but guess what? The quality is super high. They really put the art into this whole franchise.
Even
and I
with-
will not deny that.
Even with the rough edges on the animation in the first movie, that is an amazing film.
I agree.
That is a groundbreaking, revolutionary film.
Totally.
And I'll say this, according to Rotten Tomatoes, that's right, I brought them up, Ken. The Toy Story franchise is the most critically acclaimed franchise of all time.
Yeah. If only they knew when to say when, right? Like end it with 3, because the way that ended
Speaking of codas,
was beautiful.
I like 4.
Yeah, good call.
I like 4 better than 3.
oh, really? Because you just basically just threw 3 into the incinerator, Zach. I
was rooting for the incinerator by the end.
How dare you?
Spanish Buzz, get out
Love
of here.
Spanish Buzz.
The only
Tiresome.
redeemable part of 3 is Ken.
All right, Zach.
I love Ken is enough for me.
What are you giving it?
Ken is enough to make this a tier 1. I mean, these are great.
It is.
They're
tier
high
1.
quality.
Don't toy with my emotions, you jerks.
I love Toy Story 2.
Me too.
It's the best.
That's actually the least for me out of these 3.
Yeah. No,
Still very high. Still very, it's like a 5.
It is the most emotional for me.
When somebody loved me.
It's so good.
No, that movie is fantastic.
Yes.
Toy Story. We're rewatching them now. Toy Story is a classic.
Yep.
I don't like 3.
I love 3. I love 1. I love 2. I love them all. Tier 1. So good.
4 is really good looking.
4 is a great
That's
epilogue.
about it.
I'm shallow.
Red flags. Good looking red flags.
That's my life.
That's my life.
Now we have Unbreakable.
Now, it's funny we're bringing this up because for a while there, Kent and I wouldn't even mention, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8.
That Split was a secret stealth sequel to
Yeah.
Unbreakable.
I know why.
Because we were so thrilled with that surprise.
Yeah.
That it was like, oh my gosh, this is the movie we've been waiting for. We didn't even know.
You Marvel guys.
So we have Unbreakable in 2000, and then 16 years later, Split, and then 3 years later, Glass.
The franchise features the character David Dunn, a man who discovers he has the abilities of a superhero.
My cousin,
You get Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. That's primarily who you need to care
Robin
about.
Wright.
Anya
in the first
Taylor-Joy,
movie, yeah.
James McAvoy.
Yeah.
All directed by M. Night Shyamalan. And the highest earner here is actually Split, oddly enough, with $278 million. The highest rated, oddly enough, is a tie between Unbreakable and Split.
Okay.
Glass did not.
Interesting. Unbreakable is one of my favorite movies of all time.
So good.
Does that uphold a trilogy? No.
Because we've said it has to be a trilogy. It can't
However-
just be one great movie and then...
However, Split came around, and I know Split is not as good as Unbreakable, but I really enjoy the movie even on its own without the tie-in. But because it has the tie-in, I'm like, cool, this is the Matrix 1 and 2.
One of the few
Don't ever
times
finish.
I've heard Kent make a vocal reaction in a movie theater
Yeah.
loudly.
It really got me. Like, genuine surprise,
Yeah.
genuine
A
excitement.
woohoo from Kent at the theaters,
no.
which is unheard of. He usually just sits over there with his notepad and makes snide comments.
But then Glass, right? But you know, this
then
is where
Glass.
I'm going to contradict myself for every trilogy ranking, because Glass ruins everything. It makes me watch Unbreakable and go, write your own fan fiction. Forget about that ending that was made
I've already
there.
written my own ending for Glass.
Yeah, right. And it's so much better.
Yeah.
And I do think there are 2 really solid movies here in a trilogy with a weak third.
How weak is that third, Kent? What are you going to give it?
Not enough to take it away from tier 1, because these are 2, one incredible movie and one really good movie. I hate
tier
Glass, though.
1?
It's a tier 1.
I gave it a tier 2.
I get it.
Because
well,
to
listen,
me,
it well deserved, because Glass ruins the trilogy.
It was the momentum moving up like, oh, Unbreakable is fantastic. Whoa, this was a secret sequel. I had no idea. I hate that last movie. And so, but the build up, the excitement, everything I felt going into that second movie, and then even going to the third movie, I was going in so excited. Let down, but tier 2 is where it landed.
I wonder.
Because it can be a trilogy. It is a trilogy.
I wonder if Glass would be better received. What if the ending of Split was the beginning of Glass?
Yeah.
It was like, hey, actually, just so you know, it was this way the whole time. Now here's the rest of the movie.
I'd be okay with that. But it's just the way it ended.
I think
like that
it's-
literal ending is the worst.
Unbreakable is really good. Split is really good, and I think the connection is cheap. I don't like it. I thought it was that Marvel thing where it's like you're gonna watch the entire movie, but the only thing that really matters is the stinger. That's it.
And Anya Taylor-Joy.
I don't know. The performance of James McAvoy throughout Split is incredible.
But as a trilogy,
I get it.
It feels like.
But inherent unlocked powers.
But a
bad
secret
gimmick.
sequel, a stealth sequel is such a cool concept to pull off.
Sounds
when
like
are
he
we
was-
ever going to get that again?
because he was making a movie, and then by the end, it was like, what if I put them together? What if I put them together?
Thank you, M. Night.
No, I thought that
It's actually pronounced night.
I thought that was I rolled my eyes at that, and I don't like the third movie, so tier 2.
That's all right.
I like the
Wait,
first
no, I
two.
gave it the same score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, tier 2.
Yes.
I agree with you, Zach.
And finally, we have X-Men. Pick one.
Sure.
X-Men 2000. Right.
The X-Men, the original trilogy.
Yeah, because we could do the quadrilogy.
Well, that's the weird thing, that the newer ones, like First Class and all that, they're four movies, so it doesn't quite fit into.
There's really only 2 movies. Let's not worry about Apocalypse or
the other
Dark
ones
Phoenix.
in original.
You can argue that there are 3, but not include Days of Future Past. Actually, Days of Future Past is a weird Venn diagram of the
It
middle.
could be the 3rd movie in this trilogy.
Save it for our Part 3 trilogy episode.
So we have X-Men. It came out in 2000. X2, X-Men United 2003, and X3, The Last Stand in 2006.
In the official synopsis, a group of mutants team up to fight evil. And here you get Hugh Jackman, Ian McKellen, Famke Jensen, Patrick Stewart, Rebecca Romijn, Kent, Halle Berry, Kent, James Marsden, Kent.
Yeah. Deal.
And these are directed by Bryan Singer and Brett Ratner.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. Problematic. Look, the first movie came out and it was like kind of stood on its own. It wasn't the first superhero movie ever, but everyone was like, what's X-Men going to be like?
It was the first superhero movie of a new era.
Yeah.
The people give a lot of credit to Spider-Man coming out with Tobey Maguire 2 years later and being like the kickoff of the superhero thing. But it's like, no. X-Men was there in 2000.
Well, and X-Men, it took itself seriously.
Well, but they didn't dare to go into like the comics. And by that, I mean the costumes or the way the villains looked.
No, they made fun of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want? Yellow spandex?
Yeah.
By the way, the highest earner here is actually The Last Stand, but the highest rated is the second movie, X2.
So X2 is an amazing movie.
United.
And one of the best comic book movies ever made to this day.
It's really good. But there is, if you go back and watch it,
It's slow.
there's some camp there, or some, not camp, cheesiness.
Yeah, totally.
But
have you seen Spider-Man 2? Full of cheese.
Oh, I know. It's
Amazing.
surprising, but still really good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not really good, because I like all these. I like all
You
of
like?
these.
Wait, you like X3?
X3 is not as bad as people say it is.
It's not.
Wait, in comparison to some of the other bad ones, it's bad.
It's bad for what we knew at the
It's
time.
been made better.
It's bad for what we knew at the time was bad. There are
It's
worse.
bad.
There are worse superhero movies since then.
Agreed.
You watch Wolverine Origins, you're like, oh yeah, X3 was fine.
Maybe.
And there are moments of stupidity in X3, but there are moments of greatness in the X3 as well. So, where does it land? This is a tier 1 for me. I think just Hugh Jackman as Wolverine became this iconic figure. Patrick Stewart as Professor X, perfect casting. Ian McKellen as Magneto, best Magneto ever. Better. I don't think there is anyone else who played him.
Little old, but that's okay.
But with this movie, I thoroughly enjoyed this trilogy. I own this trilogy.
Yeah.
It's not maybe as good as some other trilogies, because it does fall off in the third movie. I'm not saying the third movie is great, because there is some definite flaws, but a tier 1 overall trilogy, there's a story arc there that is completed. There are characters that grow and develop, and there's so much fun action.
I was considering what score to give this, and then I remembered when Wolverine yells, "You want to shoot me? Shoot me!" And then I'm like, well, this is tier 1 just off of that. I think that these are great, and I've always loved that these X-Men movies, you know, they become civil rights stories, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
And
Like, there's a deeper meaning to them.
yeah, and the weird relationship between Magneto and Xavier, I think, is played very well.
Frenemies.
And yeah, even that third movie, time has been kind to that, because you look back and they made some weird rushed choices and didn't do things that we liked with characters, but overall,
Or Cyclops.
overall, what it was doing was not as bad as what we would maybe see later on in this very franchise, or in just in the superhero genre in general. But I mean, I remember being really fascinated and blown away by that first movie when I think it came out when I was 10, and I was expecting maybe something like, oh, I watch all these superhero cartoons, I watched X-Men or whatever, and I was expecting something, and to get something with such an edge, something that I mean, thank the Matrix for the
Probably.
X-Men, right? I mean, without the Matrix, you wouldn't be getting.
You say that all the time. You're like, you get a good meal, you're like, oh, thank the Matrix.
Which we're in right now.
So yeah, for sure, this is a tier 1, and I look back on these movies really fondly, especially as we continue to move into the like the MCU made me love these even more. I think they were just so well put together.
Oh, because the MCU was so bad that you appreciate good movies better.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
These try way harder.
too.
This is absolutely a tier 1. I'm going to revisit X3 because of you guys, because I've always been really harsh on it. And I was so relieved when Days of Future Past came out. And I'm like, thank you for rectifying that situation.
And that's a fun way to do it, too.
Right.
I have no problem with that. But just...
Yeah, but it's a tier 1. It was 2003 when X2 came out. And even though Spider-Man came out a year previous, X2 was one of my top, other than like Batman and Batman Returns, was the top superhero movie I've ever seen. only surpassed by Spider-Man 2 the next year. But yeah.
You like twos.
Yeah, I like twos except for
for
some
when he
on
really
this
doesn't.
list. Yeah, but tier 1 all the way. All right, Zach, where did we match?
We matched, but we didn't match near as much as last time. So let's talk what we didn't like. RoboCop and Divergent, consensus tier 3s from us. There was a consensus tier 2 of Rush Hour. The most mid is Rush Hour. And then we agreed on Star Wars, The Godfather, Toy Story, and X-Men. And I think if you asked a lot of people what your favorite trilogy is, it would not take long to get to all of those.
Yeah.
No, because I think that's all solid choices. So there you go. There are our ratings for this second installment of our trilogy tiering episodes. You may be looking forward to a third one down the road. We'll see how this one does
the third one might be better.
We'll see how this does in comments. That's how we judge.
Yeah.
But let us know on Facebook. Let us know on Instagram. Let us know on Twitter if you agree. And keep in mind when you're tiering, you have to do 8 tier 1s, 9 tier 2s, and 8 tier 3s. Because you can't just give everything one tier.
No tier 4s either.
No.
Stop
but
that.
we want to hear from you.
Before we go, we want to thank some patrons in a couple of special categories, including the I Am the Listener tier, which is Angela Plotz, Casey Cummings, Juice the Cooler King Swallow, Some Guy, Sir and Madam Hicks, Jennifer Kilkowski, Taylor Sanderson, Shannon West, Rocky and Steph, Adam and Rachel Crump, Ryan and Marley, Lady Terrier Finley, and Scott Sprague. That's it, Scott? Just Scott Sprague?
What? Scott, are you okay?
All right. And then we have our Bacon Council, which is Debbie Foster, Glo Clendaniel, our favorite couple, the Madsons, the other Brit, Johnny English, Star Wars expert Kyler, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, Stephen, everyone's favorite Ross, the one, the only Chris Anderson, Nicole D. Hale, and Beaker.
Thanks, patrons.
Thank you, patrons. You are the has to our fallen.
Tier 2.
Nice.
Has fallen. But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter. You can find me performing with Quick Wits, who perform at the Midvale Performing Arts Center and the studio at the Parker Theater. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quick Wits Facebook page.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Kenny3DD. You can read my movie reviews at ShowtimeShowdown.com.
And if you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Tumbling Mustard. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale. Please like that Facebook page and then go to at Baconsale on Twitter and Instagram. After you've done that, go to tpublic.com/Baconsale, where you can get yourself some merch. And then if you want to support us further, visit patreon.com/Baconsale, where support starts at $3 a month. You can get access to all sorts of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of alternate images of what Kent has created for the episode art lately. And then of course the almost weekly Pagan Bits, where I get positive for once.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
Keep it positive.
Patreon.com/Baconsale. Someone tell next time. Oh no, guys, what is that? What is that? Is that a setup for the third one? Ah! Ah! Puns don't always make sense, but they're fun. Kent Dunn, big Matrix Reloaded guy.
You don't have to have dissonance. We can have harmony.
Hey, Cool Boy Podcast, Alpha Geek. Do you know what state we live in? The OB Hive. Well, let's work it back. I lived in Goldmember Summer.
He is the Glenn Powell of his time.
Yeah,
Just kidding. I love you,
you're
Alice
not
Springs
selling
Chicken.
it.
Not a sponsor. I love you so much.
Everything is Endgame money to you.
I mean, I would like that.
So, iconic. But,
Holding hands. Oh.
is it like old folks home has fallen?
I've fallen and I can't get up. Okay. The fear of being in cereal, that's rough.
His dad was going to eat him.
I think about it every time I eat Cheerios. Every single time.
You always check for kids in your Cheerios?
Your children?
Yep.
Dad, don't eat me! Mom! We only got 500 million.
Poor celebrities.
Na.
Chomp! Never as a powerhouse of actors stoop so low. I should.
He was doing something.
As referenced by me, you're welcome.
I haven't touched the stuff since Poltergeist 2. But with
like Spider-Man was. But I don't love episode 4 A New Hope.
just call it Star Wars.
Hey, I think you hate the outdoors. You know, there's AC in the Death Star, but outside,
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
RoboCop.
good looking red flags. Oh, hey, kids.